So, reality is that, there's some basics of the keyword research. And talk a little bit about what you're doing because you really focus in on local SEO. And what do you think is the best strategy for the local keyword research?
Like you said, it's not rocket science. And however, you do need to put a little bit of effort into it because if you get started off on the wrong foot, then you're kind of wasting a lot of time. And so I ask my clients and I ask myself, we put a lot of common sense behind it because, you can spend a lot of time, money, and research and all kinds of resources and really get wrapped up in a lot of keyword research that sometimes it just is not necessary for a local business. Start with some common sense. What is it that you do? What's the service you provide? What's the problem that you solve? Particularly for businesses that maybe, like, here's a great example, like a HVAC guy wants to get ranked for something like mechanical service or something, but if you use common sense, most people who need their air conditioner fixed aren't looking for mechanical type of services in search, you know what I mean? So we use some common sense, come up with the things that people are looking for and tag on the local town modifier. At the end of the day, when I get done with my clients, they're getting found for things without the local town modifier on the keyword phrase. But that's where you start, and that's kind of the strategy to start with. As I explained to my clients, we get you found for these different things. Like, for example, let's say HVAC Wilmington gets very few searches, but we start with that, and we build up from there. The longer, with the town modifier and the longer the keyword phrase, as you start to build that foundation, you start to rank more and more and more for the broader keyword phrases in your town. But there's also a lot of other things that go on with the whole local SEO thing, not just getting optimized for keyword phrases with the town modifier, but making sure you're taking advantage of all those local directories and all these other crazy things that go on and affect your local search.
Right, and when you say town modifier, I think if you say that in layman's terms, that's really just saying, hey, in your case of HV technician or air conditioning repair, be air conditioning repair Wilmington, air conditioning repair Dover, air conditioning repair whatever town, and just do that over and over and over until you've got basically enough of those in there to have anybody who's searching in their local community be able to find that keyword, come up in your keyword research. Yeah, yes. That's great. What other tips and tools do you think would be helpful for either a small business to take advantage of or people who are trying to do this and help other customers out with their general keyword strategies or research tools?
You mean actual software tools?
Yeah, well, either software or maybe some online strategy where they can go and find places where they could get this tips where they can find.
For keyword phrases?
Right.
Okay, yeah. Well, of course, there's the Google Google keyword tool. What is awesome is if you have if I run into a client, typically this doesn't happen. Most of the time, people, unfortunately, and there's really no excuse for this, but unfortunately a lot of people don't know where the traffic's coming from. They don't have Google Analytics installed. They have no kind of analytics installed. I mean, if you have that installed, that historical data, of course, is going to be very, very good for you to take a look at and see where to go from there. But using the Google keyword tool is a very good starting place. It's a free tool for businesses to use. And you can get the gist of what you need to go after there. And also Google Insights can be very useful to help people, and also in trends, Google Trends and Insights, and using in conjunction with the Google's keyword tool, you can usually kind of narrow down a few good core keyword phrases to go after. And that kind of reminds me of something like, a lot of times I also run into sometimes some of the boutique SEO shops I get a lot of clients who've come from some other places and, have been sold the moon and the stars and told, yeah, I'll get you ranked for blah, 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 within, 30 days. And it ends up being a phrase that no one's searching for. So what I really try to encourage people to do when they're using these tools is find a keyword phrase to start with that gets some search volume.
Right, I think that's key.
Yeah.
Do you go and look at the number one competitors or some of the competitors that are, within the framework of the customer you're working with, and look
Absolutely.
at what they're doing? And do you find validity in pulling their keyword phrases as part of the strategy, or is it, you sort of look at different pieces of maybe what they're doing as a part of the strategy?
Oh, absolutely. I'll use SEM Rush to do that, and I'll find their top competitors. And SEM Rush to me is pretty darn cool, because you can put in a competitor's URL and find out everything that they're getting traffic for, and all those phrases that come up are phrases that have value. People are paying for those phrases, and those phrases get traffic. So yeah, I'll pull that information into the mix to help them figure out, because when you're pulling all that information into your research, and you start to go a little bit further, then you can start to find out where perhaps some holes are, where perhaps the competition's maybe not really scooping up all that traffic, and maybe the client I'm about to work with is positioned in a great way to kind of exploit that and get a lot of that. And so you can compete in different places where you may not have thought you could have before.
Right, and that's great information, and that really rounds out the tool